Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Memorial Stadium. My name is Aaron Harrell here with
He forgot. Curt Simic, both
Curt,
Eye
yes,
Association board members.
I was thinking of something else to say about Memorial Stadium.
That's okay.
And then
It's beautiful.
All of a sudden, as you can see, there's a lot of smoke in the air right now on your screen. That is from all the tailgating that is going
got a
on
few.
right now.
This may be the best weather day we've had all season, all things considered.
This is unbelievable. Unbelievable weather. Come on over.
This is fantastic.
Yeah, we're going to get our first guest in here right now.
We didn't have to fill any time.
No, we didn't.
So welcome to all of those viewing online and on AWH Media. And for our shout out to our friends in Iowa City who are really hoping for a bucket win for the Hoosiers today.
That's right. But, want to welcome in our first guest. Thank you for taking the time being here. I know we kind of drug you away from your tailgate a little bit, but tell us who you are, what years you played, and all that other good stuff.
Well, my name's Dean Vonderheide, and I played in 71 through 74. I was recruited by John Pond, had 2 years under him, and then was involved with the Corso Exchange,
right?
73 and 74.
Awesome. Got to ask, did you beat Purdue?
We did my freshman year.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was the year of the big fight on the field, if you remember.
We've heard about that a couple times this year.
Yeah, both sidelines emptied out, and back then the freshmen weren't eligible to play, so we were up in the stands.
Oh no,
we were in the stands.
But you could fight, right?
No, we were in the stands. We had to observe.
You've got quite a story and a history of involvement here, including the ambulance and all that. But what brought you to IU? Did you have a choice?
Oh, I had a lot of choices, but I tell you, the thing that really brought me to IU is the coaching staff. I had a lot of confidence in them, and they were extremely open to my family, and when they came to visit, Coach Fairfield was the original guy that had recruited me, and then Coach Pont came down for the signing, and my parents and I, we talked about it a lot. I could have gone to a school at Purdue or some other schools that you might consider, but the thing that really attracted us to IU was that it was within driving range for my parents. It was close enough for me to have family attend the games I played in. And,
awesome.
And at that point in time, I had no idea what I wanted to do career-wise or anything. So Indiana seemed to be a good option for me.
And what did you end up doing career-wise?
Well, I started out. Yeah, it's always a good thing. It's an evolution.
Mine's an evolution. Everybody's an evolution.
It's still evolving. I started out in teaching and coaching,
right?
And just absolutely loved that profession. But then had an opportunity to go into business. Got involved in some furniture companies down in Du Bois County, which is we're pretty well known for the wood furniture down there, and I had a 34-year career in the furniture industry.
Awesome.
Left Kimball International a few years ago, retired, and decided I wanted to do three things. I wanted to run for office, and I ran for city council at large and won that. I wanted to do some mission work. I did some mission work, and then I also wanted to start my own business. I started a hops farm. Of all things,
right.
So I was trying to feed the brewing industry here in Indiana, because that's about the time when things were starting to really, really grow when it came to the local breweries. And did that. I raised hops for 5 years with my brother as a partner, and couldn't make any money at it, but just had a lot of fun.
Had a lot of fun, right?
Had a lot of fun meeting a lot of good people and had a lot of good samples along the way. But I did shut the business down about a year ago and just focused on my career with the city and I was caucused in when Mayor Seitz left Jasper to go to work for Senator Braun, and became mayor. I've been mayor now for 4 years, and best job I've ever had.
That's awesome.
So when you talk about an evolution,
that's awesome. Well, congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Not only that, with the Eye Association, have some background and some history. How'd you get involved? Was it immediate or?
No, not immediate. Both John Laskowski and I had been out of school for a few years, and we both wanted to stay connected. And we had an opportunity. We were asked to join the Eye Association at the same time. At that time, they came to us, and Tom McConnell goes, "We're just a bunch of old guys that need a couple of young guys in here." And so we joined and became part of that crew. And I'll tell you, it's the best thing I ever did. I've been a long time member of the board and was president of the Eye Association for 3 years. It was just absolutely a great opportunity to give back to the university and to all those lettermen and the sports that I was involved in.
I think both of us were those young guys at one point.
That's right.
That's right.
We were approaching. But I can speak to that. Obviously, the ability to build community and give back, we get to do both. I mean, not only are we together and recognized, and of course Brian Brazzi and everyone who's ever headed this thing for forever and ever, it's special. It's special because IU this doesn't happen everywhere. We've talked about it over and over with our guests this fall. There you go.
There's always opportunities.
There is opportunity.
That's right.
Community. That's what it is.
It's
Do
community.
you want to drink? I think he's asking if you want to drink or not.
Yeah, we're fortunate. I've been involved with the Indiana Eye Association, and before that, the Eye Men's Association, before we merged with the women, and it's just been a great thing. Ever since we merged, the Eye Association's continued to grow. It's been involved in activities. Love to see the tailgates. Love to see the people come by here, and we set up right next to it. So I'm fortunate we have an old ambulance that we had fitted out. We had it skinned by a company in Ellettsville. It's got Indiana all over it. And
that's one thing I think we have a side shot of it here. Let's
and there are a lot of people who should be over here sitting in this seat next to me.
Right.
There's a lot of great history over there.
Kind of see it on the left side of your screen there, but it is beautiful.
Well, thank you. We've been IU fans forever and always will be. So my girls, they both graduated from Indiana. The other members of the ownership of that group, that vehicle. None of us wanted to go too much into it.
Sure.
Right.
So we shared it 4 ways, and we've all got Indiana graduates, in our family. So
how old is the ambulance? How long have you been bringing it up here to the games?
We've been bringing it for about 7 years.
Okay.
And it started out, it was just brown. It was just as
football color.
Yeah, it was a football color. It had no emblems on it or anything. It just became a good way to bring our tailgate stuff up. And then we decided to invest in a little wrap around it, and we've got Indiana exposed several ways.
And everybody knows about it.
And everyone seems to know about it. It seems to be, if you want to gather someplace, it's either by the Eye Association tent or by our ambulance.
Do the lights and everything still work?
The lights still work. Siren, we decided that would get us in trouble. So that's disconnected.
So on the way home, you just flip the lights and.
Well, we don't. We don't. We talk about it every once in a while, but we don't. Yeah. We're watching the Michigan and Ohio State game right now.
I heard that was going on too.
Last time it was 10-10.
Yeah. So it's a good game.
Yeah, a lot of people are interested in that for some reason. I'm not real sure.
Yeah. There's another game going on today. This one right here.
They're building up for that one.
That's right. That's the pre.
The prelim, and this is big time West Coast. No, Coach Corso picked us.
Yeah, I know.
And Pat McAfee picked us today too.
I heard that.
So take that for what you will.
Yeah, there's several people that think we're going to be the surprise today. So
as we close out here with you, I know you got to get back to your tailgate. What's your prediction today?
Well, I'm predicting Indiana 27, Purdue 24.
Okay,
so
good ball game then.
I think it'll be a good game. I don't think we'll be scoring as much as we have been. I don't think they will either. I think our defenses will step up.
Yeah, our defense is really good.
And they believe. Case in point last week, you just saw the momentum gaining.
Yeah.
And even though things went wrong a little bit down the stretch, they kept together, they hung together. That's all you want, obviously.
Yeah, and if this prediction comes true, it'll be the first one I've ever made.
And we'll meet you right here after the game at the ambulance.
Get some of that drink that the gentleman was holding up.
I'm very optimistic.
And we'll go up to Tommy's and buy our Powerball tickets.
That's right. Hey, thank you guys for all you're doing. I appreciate this. I think it's great. I think it's a great opportunity to get the history of Indiana out there. And
we'll keep it going.
What a great family of athletes that we have, and it's just a good thing to have these stories out
I
there.
agree. Well, thank you for everything that you've done for IU.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And what you do for the city of Jasper.
Well, thank you very much.
Yep. Guys, we'll be right back, and with our next guest, we'll go try to grab somebody from his tailgate, bring them on over here, and get them on. And everybody, welcome back here to I-Association Live, and got another great guest for you, the one and only John Leskowski. Thank you. Thanks for coming over from the tailgate.
Good to be here. Our good friends from Jasper here every week. In fact, we spent the whole year next to the I-Men's tent and saw all the activities that went on here at the tent. And great group of folks from Jasper, big IU fans there.
We're hoping to draw a few more guys over here to visit with us. It's a good audience there. Maybe the second toughest person we've had to get over here, Scott Dolson being one of them. But Les, you've been – the stories are numerous. Celebrated 50 years from your first letter. Tremendous weekend, as always. And we're over – in a ways, we're over – Aaron and I have been overwhelmed with the response to what we're trying to do. And we appreciate people like you and all the folks who have joined us this year. You've probably told the story 1,000 times. What brought you from South Bend?
So I was all set to go to Notre Dame. You know, every kid that grows up in South Bend, that's the dream, is to go to Notre Dame. And they offered me a scholarship in January my senior year. I remember my coach down the wall called me out of class one morning in his office, and I thought, man, am I in trouble now?
Yeah, that's right.
He goes, Moose Krause just called, and they're offering you a scholarship. It's all paid for. You don't have to worry about anything. You're going to college. And I thought, man, that's the best thing that ever happened. And things progress, and, you know, they fire the coach. And they hire Digger Phelps. And Moose Krause, the AD, calls Digger in and says, Digger, there's this local kid. He's really doing good. And nobody knows who you are. You're from the East Coast. You bring this kid in, get the town behind you. He said, this is a perfect setup for you. And Digger said, hell no. He said, I don't want any Midwest kids. We play East Coast ball. And I don't call them up and tell them he can't come. And they did. And they called up and said, you can't come to Notre Dame. Well, there was a new coach at Indiana about that same time. And Coach Bob Knight came to South Bend, and he said, well, I'll take you. And I said, okay. And I see Digger over the years later. And he goes, you know, John, I made a mistake. I should have taken you. And I said, no, Digger, you didn't make a mistake. You made the best decision I could ever have, because I went to Indiana. It worked out great. Yep.
And it has led to a lifetime of involvement. And what has been the best part of your many decades with your involvement here in many capacities? Well,
you know, that's just it. I remember in 8th grade, I watched a tape delay broadcast of the 1967 Indiana-Purdue game. And I'd heard Indiana won, and out of curiosity, I wanted to watch the game. And sure enough, you know, Terry Cole and all the guys won the game. And not that I thought, man, I should go to Indiana, but it was the first time I really remembered, you know, what Indiana was. And then when you come down to visit, It's just like unbelievable to see it. And I remember Coach Donald saying, now you're a good player, he said, but they've got George McGinnis and Steve Downing, and you may go there and never play. You may sit the bench the whole time you're there. He said, are you willing to sit the bench just to get a degree at Indiana? I said, absolutely. If I get to play, that's icing on the cake. I want to get that college degree. My mom didn't go to college, and my dad didn't go to college. And so I was first generation, and it worked out. I got a degree, and I got to play. So worked out great.
That's awesome.
I'm drawing a blank on my next question, but that's
No, you're fine.
Well, so many of our viewers probably grew up with you and Chuck and other people on Channel 4, and that's their reference point, as was mine when I was old enough to watch Channel 4. How did that come about?
So, that 1975 team, was a great team, except for Scott May's broken arm. We would have won the national championship that year. Of course, they did it next year when he was healthy. And so of that 1975 team, 8 players on that team made the NBA. Very strong contingent. And somebody had to be the first one cut, and it was me. So Coach tonight called me in the office. He says, I need a TV color commentator. He said, you understand the offense, you understand the defense. I'm still trying to educate people in Indiana on what we're trying to do here, because they don't understand we're not the hurrying Hoosiers anymore, and here's how we play. I said, I know all that stuff, Coach. You put that in me pretty good, but, I'm kind of shy, and I don't think about TV. I said, what do you have to do to be in TV? He said, well, when the red light comes on, start talking. I went, I didn't know that. That's all. Oh, yeah, that's all it is. And so he hooked me up with Chuck Marlowe, and I grew up in South Bend, and Chuck would come to the Elkhart Gymnasium and do big-time wrestling with Dick the Bruiser and Wilbur Schneider and Mitsu Arakawa, and I remember Bobo Brazil, and I'm thinking, that guy's a joke, he's part of the act, and here he is, my real-life partner, and he was just terrific. We did a lot of years. In fact, I did 33 years all told on Indiana basketball, the highest-rated, locally produced sports show in America. When Bob Knight had that going, I started in '79, ended in 2012, and the years Coach was there till 2001 were just great. We had 3 hours of live TV, a half-hour pregame show, 2-hour broadcast, and a half-hour postgame show. I mean, it's unheard of with any other program in the country at that time.
Oh, wow. And the stories are probably ones you can reveal and ones you can't. It's like our friend Jim Butler probably has a lot of them that could make him several volumes of the book if had he chosen to do so.
Jim Butler was a great co-worker, and what's interesting, Curt, is I knew the players and knew the coaches and all that, and boy, the crew would get here like 9 o'clock in the morning, and they'd set the trailer up, and they'd get the wires and the cameras set up and all that stuff ready to go, and the stats, and I show up about 8 o'clock game. I show up about 5:30, and walk into the trailer and get my press pass, and I say, hey, guys, how you doing? And the first thing they said is, the talent is here. And I said, who are you talking about? They said, you're the talent. I said, no, you guys are the talent. You put all this together. All I have to do is talk. They said, no, you're known as the talent. So it took a while to get used to that. Because I was the only person, me and the play-by-play guy, the only guy you see on TV, So that's the talent. But everybody else behind the scenes, 25 people, they're just, workers. It took a while to get used to that.
Yeah, no, it takes a lot behind the scenes. I do a lot of live streaming, but it's a lot. But one question I got is, what from your playing career here at IU, what's the one game that stands out?
Well, who are we playing today?
Yeah, that team.
Those guys, yeah.
Yeah, okay. How about that team? So our junior year, we had to win the last game of the year at home against Purdue, or if we lost, we're second place. And, Curt, you probably did this when you were young. And you go out in your yard and you shoot free throws, and it's to win the Big Ten championship, And there's nobody watching, so they always went in. And if they didn't, you said they went in.
That's right.
So I got fouled with 8 seconds to go, and we're down 1 to Purdue. And it was a 1-on-1 free throw. And so all those times I'd practice in my backyard didn't account for 17,000 people, in the crowd. And the most interesting fact of all, and nobody's ever brought this up, I'm the one who does, is on that team that year there were no seniors. So that meant all the guys were back for the next year, which was 1975, which was a great year. In 1974, whoever missed that last shot was going to be a GOAT for a whole year because they could boo you every game the next year, And so I took a shot and it missed, but in getting the rebound, I got fouled. So I ended up making both free throws and we won the game. So Purdue was crying and Indiana fans were going crazy, and we won the Big Ten championship. So that's as good as it gets.
Right?
That counts, yeah. That's a solid number one.
Nothing higher than that.
That's right.
Well, from a personal standpoint, I mean, we've had the conversation privately, but I want everybody to know from a personal standpoint, you did something for me as a young coach, 26, 27, whenever it was, 1997 it was, when you came down to the Birdcage in Washington for our soap and towel game at Washington Catholic when I was I was in my first year down there, didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know half of what anybody was doing at that time. But you came down and spent time with our guys. You spoke to our crowd, and it was just very, very nice of you to come down and do that for us. And it still means a lot to those guys. To me.
You talk about the impact Indiana has on you. I'm still a fan here 50 years later and worked at the university for a long time and do speeches for them. And just it's just wonderful. And so you share other things because people watch those games and they want to know more about you, and you can help people just like I did with you coming down. My youngest brother was a coach at Washington for the Hatchets back in the early days when Craig Neal was there. And so I was familiar with Washington, and I rarely turn somebody down when they say, hey, can you come speak for us here or there? And just because without that scholarship, nobody'd know who I was. And I got a degree, and it's been with me all these years, and it'll continue as long as I live.
That's a true ambassador of Indiana University, and we won't find a greater one than yourself. And your family? Your family's doing big things these days.
All good, yeah. In fact, the Jasper crowd here, we're opening a Culver's in Jasper on December 5th, and invited them to come down and be a part of that. Seymour opened 7 months ago, and the Bloomington Culver's opened 4 years ago. It's doing very well.
It's fantastic.
You've been there. Your dad's been there a lot, I know.
Yeah.
And Coach
we go
Knight
there all
comes
the
in.
time. So.
Coach Knight was in last Wednesday. He came in.
Root beer shake.
Root beer
shake.
Yeah,
there you go.
And he loves that. And we didn't have a root beer shake until about 6 months ago, and Culver's now has it on the menu. You can get a root beer shake.
So you didn't have to mix it up in the back.
No, we don't do it anymore. They actually have the root beer flavor, and we can make you shake. So
I've been told no before in the drive-thru.
Yeah,
I don't think we have that.
We can do
so
it now.
glad.
We can do it now. That's right.
Wasn't just a one item for Coach, right?
Oh, he still eats a good meal. Karen's always good with him there, and it's always good to see him there.
Yeah. Well, no, we can't thank you enough. We don't want to keep you from your tailgate, but thank you so much for everything you've done for Indiana, for the Eye Association, for everything. And, just thank you.
Yeah, well, thanks, Curt, your dad especially. He had a great career at IU. You understand what it's like to have a lifetime commitment, and there's a lot of us who have – the university's been that much to us that we want to continue doing that.
Yeah, we're very grateful you do.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Good to be with you.
Thank you very much. Guys, we'll be right back, everybody. Stick around. We'll go get our next guest.
All right.
And again, everybody, thanks so much for joining us. We've got another guest over here. And Curt, I'll let you do the honors here.
There are only a few people that have more exposure to this IU-Purdue rivalry. one among them are Mark Deal, but the other one is Harrell Morrow. Thank you for joining us, and today is a celebration. And what does it mean to you?
Well, it always comes out in this game. Doesn't matter what the records are. Anyone that wants the game badly enough between the two teams and will win the game. I've been involved in many games, either as a player, coach, or administrator, that has come down to the last game. And we consider this our bowl game today since we're not eligible for one. And so we'll see what happens. It's a beautiful day. Come out to the stadium and support the team, and we're looking forward to the game.
Best memory of this thing?
Well, my best memory naturally
obviously 67 probably.
Down there, and causing a fumble, Kazmarek, and then Mike Boffman falling on the ball. But a lot of people don't realize they thought the game was over at that time. I had to snap the ball from the 4-yard line, and Eisenberger kicked a 65-yarder for us to win the game.
That's a little clutch moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
Take that for granted.
It looked like he was standing real close because when you look between your legs as you snap the ball, and he had to stand, so he didn't step out of bounds. He looked pretty close.
Well, we had a great time, of course, at the beginning of the year talking to the Rose Bowl reunion group, and the stories are many. Is there anything more about your entire career that stands out to you, and lifetime of involvement, obviously?
Well, when I was being recruited, it was a big commitment for me. I was recruited. I offered a scholarship at Alabama, and Michigan State offered me a scholarship, and it came down that I wanted to play in the Midwest in the Big Ten. And but it was a big decision to choose Indiana because at that time they were on probation, and even though we were freshmen and couldn't play as a freshman during that time, it was an opportunity, for me because I liked their style of football. I liked Coach Dickens, who recruited me, and then Coach Pond came in and changed the atmosphere of the team and took us to the Rose Bowl. And I was just at the right team and the right time. I got hurt my senior year. I should have graduated the year before. Got hurt in the Miami of Ohio game, had knee surgery, got to be able to come back and play a 5th year. So it worked out well for me. So I've been blessed. And then Coach Pont, after my playing career, asking me to coach at 23 years old in the Big Ten. That's unheard of today. No one would hire a 23-year-old. Yeah, and I spent 15 years coaching and the rest of my time in administration. So spent about 41 years in college athletics.
You've hefted that bucket a time or two.
Does
it ever get old?
The interesting one, a lot of people don't look at the Rose Bowl when it has a diamond on it and a rose, so it's pretty cool.
Probably never gets old every time you get a chance.
That's one thing I've never done is held it. So
held the bucket. Yeah, well, you definitely have to do it.
It's heavier than you think.
It is. With all those I's and P's in there, it's pretty heavy. You've got to be pretty strong to play
for a long time.
Side note, and I've always wanted to ask you. Our family spent some time in Tuscaloosa when Dad was at Alabama, and we ran in. He worked closely with Coach Bryant on some of these things, and I was very young. It was my first exposure to college football. I thought it was all like that. You always won all the time. How do you bring yourself to say no to Bear Bryant?
Well, it was interesting because back then you could travel to 13 universities if you wanted to. Now you're only allowed to choose 5. So I said, well, Alabama was up watching me play. I played linebacker, and I was a decent linebacker in high school, so a lot of people wanted me to play that in college. And so I took the trip. I went down there, and ironically, to make my choice pretty easy that weekend, my host Friday night was Joe Namath, and my host Saturday night was Leroy Jordan, 2 Hall of
Icons.
2 Hall of Famers, that's right.
So it was very interesting. And what happened to me on the weekend, on Sunday, after the weekend on Sunday, I went in this film room, and I was the only guy in there. And I was wondering where the other recruits were, but it was just me. And I was watching a film of Leroy Jordan just kicking the hell out of people, play after play after play. And on the last play, a guy signaled for a fair catch, and Jordan didn't see it. He hit the guy under the chin. The guy went back. His helmet come off. The ball was fumbled. And he's standing over the guy with his arms like he had scored a touchdown up in the air. And just then, the lights flip on, And, man, I could hardly see, being in a dark room. And I turned around, there's Bear Bryant, and he goes, "You want to play for me, don't you, son?" Well, what do you say? What do you say to the Bear? And he never took his houndstooth hat off the whole time I was there. So I said, "Yes, I do." He says, "Good, come with me." And that's when you could sign without your parents' consent. So they had a guy that wrote calligraphy on a parchment paper, and he'd give me a scholarship. So I came back home. My dad picked me up at the airport. "What'd you think?" I said, "Dad, I loved it." I said, "It's really great." I said, 7-foot beds, the Brian Hilton, they called the dorm that the players stay in. I said, it seemed like a good fit for me. I said, I met Leroy Jordan, and that's what I want to do. I want to play linebacker in college. And so I said, I told him that I'd be coming. He says, "Remember, this is only your second trip. You better look around." He said, "Who from the north is down there?" I said, "Joe Namath." He said, "That's right. He's made it. You haven't. They'll probably send your Yankee ass home."
Speaking of position
Excuse me
change.
for swearing.
No, you're fine. You're fine. We're on YouTube.
It's okay. They can do
Right.
it. Well,
You better draw that out of there or bleep it.
now, there was a position change that came with coming to IU then.
It was in '65 they changed where you could do don't have to play both sides. You could play one side. So I could snap the ball really well, and they didn't want to make a lot of changes at the center position. So when you're in the game and you can just stay in and snap instead of bringing a guy in to snap, it made it a little easier for the transition. So I knock on wood, I never had a bad snap in high school or collegiate play. So I was very fortunate.
Did Gonzo really antagonize the Illinois line?
He liked to talk to a lot of the teams. Yes, he did antagonize them. We told him to just keep his mouth shut and call the signals, make our job a little easier. But he's a gutty kid. I'm glad he was on the team at that time. We had a young Coach Pont recruited some young players, Eisenberger, Butcher, Gonzo, and Eric Stolberg, and guys like that made us better. And we had a senior line and some guys, fifth-year guys, and so we gelled together, and we knew what we were doing. We won a few games, got excited, and then it just went from there.
Sometimes that's all it takes.
Yes.
Right.
And the impressive part about that group is that you all come back. It's a cohesive group.
You know what's interesting? When we get together, we don't even shake hands. We just hug each other. That's our handshake. Yeah. And then a lot of the younger players, go, "Man, that's really something different, something cool." I said, "Well, that's what we think about each other. We're all in this together." And it was our fraternity. A lot of us didn't join a fraternity, so that was our fraternity, the players, and it worked out. It worked out very well.
Awesome. Speaking of today's game, obviously big game. Purdue's got a shot to go to the Big Ten championship. They've got to win, though.
Right.
Be Tom Allen for a minute.
What
are you saying?
I was impressed last week with the Michigan State and how he got the kids up ready to play. I always wondered when I did go into coaching how many times you can get your players and the team ready to play, and that's a tough thing to do. They haven't quit on them, and that's good. They're playing hard. I like the switch. Number 5, he finally made a decision, and it was probably a tough decision for him to go with number 5. I think it's Williams is his last name.
Williams.
And he gives us a little more mobility at quarterback and challenges the outside. And so I think that is going to help us. I know I saw that we're a little over a touchdown on a field goal underdog, but, it doesn't matter in this game. There's 0 points when you start the game.
That's right.
And so
if you can't get up for this one.
Right.
As a IU or Purdue.
Correct. With Iowa losing like they did and playing at home, and that gives Purdue an opportunity. But we'll see what happens. Either you line it up, kick it off, and we'll see what happens.
That's right.
We'd like another black and gold to go to India next week.
Let's do it different.
That'd be
let's
okay.
do it different.
Yeah.
But one of the things about this team is you can look at 3 or 4 different possessions, and the season completely different. And the Maryland game, which would have looked really tremendous at the time, still would be a heck of a win. And just the difference. Talk from your experience. How do you get guys to get over that hump and finish? What's the strategy there?
That's the key thing that you mentioned is finish. We need to finish games. I mean, we're so close and we're there. It's just how do you get the mindset of the team and the finish, and it comes from within. I mean, a coach can only do so much during the week. You know, you put them in the right position, give them the right plays, the right defenses, but then they got to execute. It comes down to execution, you know. So we'll see. I think the better teams that are execute today is going to win the game. And, you know, turnovers, you know, is always a big factor. Usually if you have more turnovers, you're going to lose the game. So we'll see what happens with that. But
we haven't had a couple in the last couple of games.
No,
we haven't had any, is that right?
Excited, I'm excited, you know, to see what happens. You know, I hope that we do well. And let's see, I'm trying to think. This is probably in my involvement of the game probably since 1963. I've been coming to Indiana-Purdue games, so that's a pretty long time.
You've seen it all.
I've dated myself. You know,
that's okay. That's okay.
And we're grateful for your time and, your wisdom and sharing all these experiences.
Yeah,
awesome.
Thank you so much for everything
all
you've
right,
done
Curt,
for
thank
Indiana.
you. Thank you.
Have a great day. Enjoy the game today.
Thank you.
Let's get it.
We will. All right. Beat Purdue.
We're going to take a break. We'll be right back with another guest. All right, want to welcome everybody back here for Eye Association Live. Got another great guest here. Bill Atkinson, did I get that right?
That is correct. Number 7 in the program, number 1 in your heart.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right. That is right.
Familiar face to those in Monroe County for a long time.
Yeah.
Tell us about yourself.
Oh, gosh, I'm
That's the trick question that you said don't ask, right?
about myself. Well, I've been very fortunate, and after playing here at IU in 71, freshmen were ineligible, so we were hamburger and scout team for a year, and then under Coach Pont recruited us and played 2 years for Coach Pont, and then Lee Corso's first 2 years here. And I was a DB, returned Pont's kickoffs and on all the specialty teams. And a few surgeries later, and after I graduated and so forth, started teaching and coaching at Edgewood High School here just down the road in Ellisville.
Awesome.
And after about 3 years there, I went back to my old high school, Mississinawa High School in Gas City, Indiana, and spent 6 years up there teaching and coaching, and then had an opportunity to come back to Edgewood and be an assistant football coach at the high school. And just so happened that the Edgewood principal was my high school principal at Mississinawa.
Oh, wow.
So it was easy to get
Kinda
a job.
That's right. Easy to get the job.
Yeah, and spent there, 39 years in education, 33 years in teaching and coaching administration at Edgewood High School. And best thing about my IU experience, I guess, was met my wife very first day, our freshman year.
Oh, wow.
Here on campus. We were both in McNutt Quad, and ended up we got married the middle of our sophomore year.
Okay.
But her high school football coach at Eastbrook High School in Upland, Indiana, which was a rival of Mississinawa, was Terry Hepner.
Okay.
Yeah, coach here for a while. And then his assistant was my oldest brother. So had good time, but when I went in and told Coach Pont that I think about getting married, and
Yeah, that was back when you had to ask, right? You had to ask him.
yes, yeah, I had to get his permission
That's
before
right.
I
We've
asked
heard that a couple
Yes,
times.
we have.
the parents. But he suggested that we wait until the middle of our sophomore year so she could see what the life of a football player was like during that
time.
That time.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so he said, if you do that, then I'll help you with your honeymoon. You have any idea where you go on your honeymoon? Sure. We're going to Canton, Ohio. Football Hall of Fame. He said, good. I set you up a personal screen,
Did Donna agree to that?
Well, I hadn't asked
didn't
you
have a
about that yet, but she went with me still, so I guess it was all right. But, and we will celebrate 50 years of marriage here in December 30th.
Congratulations.
Take all of our kids and grandkids down to Florida for a good week of sunshine and the golf. So,
That's
Nothing
right.
better. Nothing better.
That's right.
but had great experience here at IU.
Awesome. Now, go ahead.
What was the road from Gas City, Indiana to Bloomington for you?
Yeah, how'd you get here?
Old State Road 37.
That's what we all. Yeah. I opened that myself
Isn't
up for
isn't
that
that
one.
the only road?
Yeah, it is.
Matter of fact, the first time I ever came to this stadium was my sophomore year in high school. I came down with one of my best friends in high school. He was a second baseman. I was a shortstop. When I was a quarterback or a tailback, he was our center, and he was about 120 pounds center, and he got in people's way, and I was quick enough to get by him. But we came down with his parents, and I remember Jade Butcher and those guys were playing, and still grass on the field, and it was just the two sides of the stadium. Both ends were wide open, and that was one of the things Coach Pont told me when he was recruiting me was that eventually they would like to make it into a horseshoe and then into a bowl.
Yeah, it only took them
50 years.
50 years,
50
right?
years to fulfill that promise, but it came true.
Yeah,
and
it's an unbelievable
Yeah.
place right now.
Yeah. And the first time I went into my to IU coach's locker room after a game, my very first recruiting visit down here, I was in there about, 20 other prospects, and most of them were from Indianapolis or big schools somewhere around, and we're just standing in a line around the room, and Coach Pont was coming and greeting everybody, and he came to me and he said, and your name? And I said, yeah, Bill Atkinson. He said, where are you from, Bill? I go, Mississinawa High School in Gas City. He gave me a real fuzzy look on his face, and he says, we don't get up that way very much. So I don't think he had a clue about me or where it was, but ended up being recruited by Al Voorhees, who happened to be at around Eastern High School and around Kokomo. That was his hometown, and his wife's or something. So he knew about it, and Al Voorhees, who was a defensive end coach at the time, he recruited me primarily.
Awesome.
So, but one thing about Coach Pont, when I did, and he offered a scholarship, he said he's bringing me down here. He wants me to play because I'm an athlete, and he wasn't going to promise that I'd play offense or defense or where out on the field, that I would make that determination on what I did out on the practice field, and he was true to his word.
That's awesome.
We've heard that from a lot of your teammates and contemporaries, the fact that he took athletes and fit it into where, so you weren't locked into a particular position unless you were far and above.
Right, yeah. I mean, at the time, I was one of the smallest guys on the team. I was probably 180 pounds coming out of high school. But, God gave me speed, and,
can't take speed out of it.
No.
He didn't give it to me. I know that.
I sure as hell didn't get it. So.
Yeah, but I had 14 varsity letters in high school, and played football and basketball and baseball and ran track. And at that time, baseball was during the summertime and track was in the spring. And
okay.
I ran track simply because I had speed. A lot of times I wouldn't even take my sweats off if it was cold or not, and I'd still win. But and basketball was I was a football player playing basketball.
Right.
I was lucky to make it through the first half before I fouled out.
Yeah, just you were in there to.
Yeah, I could
use
play.
the body.
I could play
Use the
some
body.
defense. Yeah,
That's right.
I could put a little muscle on somebody.
Yeah, at the high school I do a lot of live streaming for. We've got a lot of football players playing basketball that they love to get in the middle and use their body.
Yeah. Well, Curt knows, but Curt knew I was coaching at Edgewood High School for 16 years, the girls, and in practice, sometimes they had to go against me, my post players, and I'd play that post defense on, and I wasn't afraid to shove them in the back, give them a little forearm, make it a little bit tough for them. And I remember we were practicing one day, and my oldest daughter, Yetta, she was a post player, but she was bringing the ball down the floor, which I told all the girls, you're not a guard or forward or center. You're a ball player. I expect you all to be able to shoot from outside, make layups, free throws, handle the ball, bring the ball down if you have to. Well, she was bringing the ball down the floor, and I jumped up to trap her at the 10-second line. She jumped up in the air to make a pass. As she did, she brought her left knee up, caught me right in the ribs. And I'm sure I had a cracked rib because I could not breathe. But I couldn't show any pain.
I'm sure the kids didn't know it.
No. But for 2 or 3 weeks, it was hard to breathe.
That's right.
Yeah, I quit playing and said, all right, I'm blowing the whistle here.
That's right.
I'm going to ask the question, a career educator, as someone who spent so many years and hours and hours and hours doing so many different things, serving kids, has it changed?
I think it has. I think, back in the day, kids were, focused into becoming athletes, and that's what I wanted. I wanted athletes, whether it was boys or girls, that could play any sport, that knew what to do. They could make moves, they could jump, they understood the game, whatever game it was, football, basketball, baseball, track, whatever, that they understood the fundamentals of it. And I think it's changed some, because I think now we kind of are pushing kids to become specialists.
Right.
Only basketball players, only football, only tennis players, and volleyball players, and I just think I think it hurts the kids because they really don't become that well-rounded athlete.
Yeah. In my opinion, I think it causes more injuries when you just do the one sport versus your body's not used to going every this direction. And then,
right.
But that's just I'm sure there's no scientific.
And back early days, I remember the only AAU stuff was wrestling.
Right.
And when basketball season was over, basketballs were locked up in the closet, and you wouldn't do anything. You didn't practice.
And I think every year around the NFL draft, they'll run down to so many of these guys who were drafted in the first round, specialized, and very few of them only played one sport and that type of thing. So athletes need to be athletes.
Yeah, and you look at the professional athletes, how many of them that did specialize didn't last that long. But you had the ones that had to work their butt off because they were, the 48th or the 129th draftee or whatever, that they've busted their butt. But they were athletes. They were well-rounded. And they're the ones that survive and end up doing extremely well.
Right.
It's different.
Well, last question, then we'll let you get back to your go eat, go do whatever you're going to do before the game here.
Yeah, I got to get my tickets for my boss. You know?
That's right.
You know, she's giving me the snake eye over there.
What prediction on the day? Any prediction?
Well, before last week, you know,
It would have been a different position.
I would have think I'd be leaning that it's going to be a tough one to get by Purdue. But after last week, you know, I kind of like this Williams guy, quarterback. I mean, he brings a lot to the table. And
A little different look, isn't it?
yeah, and I'm thinking Indiana might sneak up on them, and just like any you can throw out the whole season with Indiana and Purdue, just like
we've talked about that.
or Michigan, Ohio State. You know, the rivalry games. You throw out the whatever your season you're having, and you know, here's a chance for, you know, maybe not for Indiana to go to a bowl, but like in previous years, here's a chance to knock out your arch rival Purdue from advancing on.
Right.
And if they win today, they go to
They get to play the winner of Ohio State, Michigan next week up in Indy.
Yeah, and we could be that person that knocks them off.
Just damn it, was
All for it.
Let's get her done.
That's right. Well, thank you so much for everything that you've done
Hey,
for
thank you,
Indiana
and this is
for coming on here. I know it's not easy, but we appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, like I tell some people, I've had 23 surgeries from playing here, but I'd go back and play again. I'd do it again, do
That's
it all
right.
again.
We all
There you
would.
go.
We all would.
I think I'd probably could be maybe one more quarter.
A quarter?
Yeah, maybe
A series?
Yeah, maybe one punt.
Let's do it.
That's right.
Maybe one punt, maybe.
Thank you, Bill, for everything.
Yeah.
Hey,
and you and
thank
your
you.
family meant
Thank
a lot to
you.
people around here, and we
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for giving the opportunity to do this. So
Yeah, not a
yeah,
problem. We
great.
appreciate
Love
it.
the guys I played with here, and still in contact with a lot of them, and
Well, good.
it's a brotherhood.
That's right. That's
Okay.
right. Thank you so
All right.
much.
Thank you.
And we're going to be back. We're going to try and get one more guest, and then we'll call it a day and go inside. All right, welcome back. We've got probably the most famous guest of all here. For those of you out here at
Who,
Eye
Anita?
Association, Brian Brazzi. Brian, thank you so much. Executive Director of the Eye Association here for Indiana University. Does so much, does so many tailgates, does so many reunions. Everything that you can imagine that has to do with the Eye Association. Brian, just thank you for everything.
Well, thank you, Aaron, and thank you, Curt. This has been a really nice addition to what we've done this fall. And you guys have been here. There's Mike Wilcox is coming. But it's been great, and thank you. I'm just so fortunate to have a job that centers around keeping Hoosier athletes together beyond their time here on campus. And we do things like have a tailgate at every game and do different special events and programs to try to justify that.
Now, but before we get into today's game, there's a big game tomorrow.
Right.
IU soccer.
IU soccer.
Any tailgate information going on tomorrow, or
Well, the Eye Association won't be sponsoring
Right.
anything, but there is a tailgate that's traditionally held by soccer parents and alumni, and then they started off as the tailgate with soccer parents, and they liked each other so much and created such a great core and great spirit around what they've done. They've been going on for years and years.
That's
So
awesome.
that's right at the top of the hill, just outside the main gates of Armstrong.
Yeah, that's awesome. Big game.
Fantastic.
Is it on FS? No, I don't know what it's on yet. Hey, Amy.
I'm not sure what it's going to be charged by.
But
Go on and get you a chili dog.
IU Soccer's in the Sweet 16 tomorrow, and past President Amy Matheny there.
Yeah, sorry, I'm blowing up your broadcast.
Oh
here.
no, you're fine. That's what we love. That's why we do it.
Well, we're going to have a
do it
list
live.
after this broadcast. We're going to have a list for future episodes.
Yeah,
Be
future
ready.
episodes. That's right. That's right. But what's coming up for the Eye Association? I know football season's the big reunion season, but
Football's a big range. The next thing that we do that really brands our identity is the pinning ceremony that we do twice a year along with the commencement. So the athletic department and the Eye Association hosts a luncheon on commencement day for graduating student athletes, and we present them. Part of the ceremony is to present them with their eye pin, which is a jeweled pin that is given only to alumni Hoosier athletes. And with that comes, the identity that you are becoming part of the Eye Association. So we really enjoy doing that. And then later this school year, we will do another award at the end of the year, the senior ring ceremony, which is different than the commencement ceremony. It signifies more your fourth letter at IU.
yeah, your final.
But just last year, it was the first time that the Eye Association got their mark on that ring. It used to just be Indiana University because the varsity club and the athletic department hosted that. We started, once we moved our offices into the Eye Association, that's one of the responsibilities that we took over. And with that responsibility came additional branding opportunities and additional ways to get our name out there. So that's been great. That comes up in April. And then basically what we do in the off season is just try to keep people informed through our newsletters and the Hoosier Athlete Network. And then we just start planning anew for our awards season coming up in the fall, and then what we do with the reunions and events. And also the golf outing, that you've been a big part of.
Yeah.
Well, we're competitive by nature. You might not have known that. How's the Athlete Network response? Are we engaging more people? Are we, are we still on an upswing?
I think so. It's kind of tailed off in terms of upswing because for a while there we just kept getting new members and they were curious about using it and going on. I think that for the most part people are finding a lot of utility in it. They're finding use in it. And it's we're trying to fashion it as like a one-stop shop for all the information. I need to find ways to reach out to a younger audience of people, kind of like maybe the TikTok generation or something like that.
You need to start your own TikTok channel.
I know,
That's right.
or something like that, or do
Eye Association Live, 15 seconds at a time.
yeah, that's right. Or something that appeals to people, some of our younger members a little bit more, because my bent has been more with my cohort and the people that have been my age. So we'll see, but it's been fun.
One of the things at the Women's Excellence Symposium that we attended together was one of the breakout sessions was about branding and how these kids, we'll call them kids, how these student athletes are building their brand and how that fits into a business model and how they're connecting businesses with the new branding method. And it's really fascinating. And that stuff has power. That stuff has power, and it's bringing the NIL opportunities as well.
Right. I was going to say, especially in the NIL age, it's all about having a brand and having a marketable self. And I know we're devoting a lot of time and resources for kids to learn how to do that.
That's right. Going back to the game today, what's your biggest memory back in your collegiate days from IU Purdue?
Oh, man, I remember one game, I think it was my fifth year, or I might have even been in graduate school, but Babe Laufenberg was the quarterback and Dwayne Gunn was the receiver, and they just kept targeting each other and trying to score, and we had a chance to win the game, I think, with a 2-point conversion, and we didn't, and that was a tough loss. I remember it's always been close. I think one game I remember Mike Allstad, who ended up playing in the NFL all those years. Man, he ran roughshod over us one year. It was one of those 50-to-something games.
Right.
And he ran for like 200 and something yards.
Yeah,
Ridiculous.
he was a big man.
No, we've had some really memorable times at the Bucket, and I think the funny thing about this game is it's so hard to predict because so many different things happen all the time, and that's why I think we have a great chance to win today, and that's why I think we have a good chance to pull a big upset.
That's right. Knock Purdue off of that chance to go to the game next week.
That would be really nice if we did that.
That would be really good. Really
and it
nice.
would also send us on our way this season in a great fashion. I think in a way that we should go up because this year, we're so close to being a different team. Certainly record-wise. I mean, you think about Rutgers and Maryland and even the Nebraska game was in our grasp. And just a few plays here and there, we end up on the L side instead of the W. And so right now we're at 7 wins instead of where we are with 4.
Yep.
So we'll see. But, I mean, I think, I would love to go into the offseason with a big win today.
Heck yeah. Go ahead.
You have a lot of agreement out there. A lot of folks would say
Especially
just
here.
that. Well, and as for me, I hope I can speak for Aaron. We really appreciate the forum, the platform that you've granted us, and as the Carpenter said, we've only just begun. I think,
right?
And because and in the future. We'll have a list for you. Like I said, we'll have suggestions that and ideas so that we want to reach out to more people. We've had nice response from people, and some of you even watched live that aren't my mom in Eugene. Hi, Mom. but it's a nice thing to start off on, and for you to allow us to get in on the ground floor.
Don't even mention it. It's been wonderful, and it just adds to the spirit of this place. And I know it's pretty low key today, but it's just been fun to add your bit of excitement to what we're doing here. So I just appreciate that you guys have been here for sure. And like more and more, I can just see us being present at different venues across the menu of sports that we offer.
That's right. Well, last question. What's the prediction for today?
Okay, I think I got IU winning 31-27.
We talked about it earlier.
Yeah, I think they're not going to come from behind to get that 31. They're going to have that 31, and Purdue's going to knock on the door, but we're going to ultimately pull it out.
Yeah, I agree. I think I said earlier that was my prediction. It's going to be a close game, 31-27.
Yeah.
And I think IU will
Well,
hopefully
thanks
pull
again,
it out.
guys. And I wish you a happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Great off season.
I know you got a lot going on, so we'll let you get going. But I think we're going to end it right here.
Okay, so grab a chili dog.
Yeah, that's
right. Go get our tickets to the game and all that. But
thanks, Brian.
But Curt, didn't ask you what's your prediction for today.
I am going with I think we'll keep them out of the end zone. Their passing attack is big time comparatively.
Our defense is really good.
We're going to keep them out of the end zone a couple times, and it's going to make all the difference in the world.
Yeah, I do too. But Curt, thank you so much for the football season. We've been out here four or five times. I think
we've done it enough.
Yeah,
but more to come.
That's right, more to come.
Keep an eye on the Athlete Network and the Eye Association newsletters, and we're hoping to do more maybe this winter during basketball season, but especially with the women's team.
That's right.
And see where it goes.
See where it goes. That's right. But we can't thank you guys enough for watching. I know the Michigan Ohio State game's 20-17 right now in the third quarter. Ohio State is leading. So
that's the warm up.
Yeah, that's just the warm up. Yeah, flip on over to Big Ten Network at 3:30.
For
the Old Oaken Bucket game. And I wish we could have got the Old Oaken Bucket, but I'm sure it's inside somewhere.
We'll have it in a few hours. It'll be okay.
That's right. But everybody, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time here for Eye Association Live. Curt, thanks again.
Go IU.
Go IU.
Live your life within the moment, and don't go wait until the morning. You never know when it is over. All that I know is we'll get older. So let us dance this night away. Our bodies move to the groove and the light that flickers. get lost in the crowd, it's getting thicker. But get away from the drinks and chatter. Haven't said a word, but it doesn't matter. Feel the air get thinner. I'm standing in a blurry dream. No one else can see us. Live your life within the moment, and don't go wait until the morning. You never know when it is over. All that I know is we'll get older. So let us dance this night away. Feel the air get thinner. I'm standing in a blurry dream. No one else can see us. So let us dance this night away.